Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Welcome all. Alhamdulillah, we are fortunate to be able to conduct another capacity building workshop series. I welcome Dr. Saleh Bazaid from Nama Foundation, the CEO of Nama Foundation. Assalamualaikum. Welcome also Tuan Haji Muhammad Jamal Shamsuddin, the CEO of Aksin and chairman of the workshop series. Assalamualaikum, Tuan Haji. And of course, Alhamdulillah, we have today, we are very honored to have Mr. Sasanko Yudo of APDEC Dest Malaysia, Sendiran Berhad. And the capacity building workshop series for this morning will be another section on data analytics. And Dr. Sasanko will present it in his talk for this morning, titled Data Analytics with Open Data, How It Can Benefit Organizational Effectiveness. And we had this data analytics capacity building workshop series earlier in April this year, conducted by or presented by a Canadian speaker from Launch Good, Mr. Hassan. And Alhamdulillah, we have today another section of it by Mr. Sasanko. So without much further ado, I'd like to pass this, I would like to invite Dr. Saleh Bazaid to give his opening speech. Dr. Saleh.
Okay, thank you Rafida. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and everyone is in good health and enjoying staying at home. Even though I think nowadays, it's not like any luxury anymore, right? To stay at home. But alhamdulillah, since we are still, healthy, can perform, doesn't matter where are we, right? Whether at home or outside or in the offices. I would like to extend my appreciation and thanks to Aksin, to Haji Jamal and Rafida and the rest of the team for the continuous and dynamic work. I have been really very happy throughout the last few years to see Aksin, is delivering a lot of capacity building and empowerment programs, which I believe most needed, by CSOs and NGOs. In today's workshop, for me, it is one of the most important know-how that every NGO or every individual, every agency, institution must understand and must master. Data analytics is comprised of two components. One is data, one is analysis, right? So if you have them separately, you won't be able to do anything. If you have the data, but you don't know how to analyze, how to read the data, you will not be able to use, right? The same goes if you have the capability, to analyze or to interpret, but you don't have any raw data. Also, you will face problem to deal with. We in Nama Foundation have gone through this experience in the last few years. By the way, Nama is based in Malaysia. However, we work globally in Indonesia, Tanzania, and Kyrgyzstan. We are registered in Malaysia since 2004, and we work in 3 countries as of now: Tanzania, Kyrgyzstan, and Indonesia. And we work in 2 main areas. One is education empowerment, and second, third sector empowerment, or what we call it socio-economic empowerment. So our diversified work in different countries, in different fields, have brought us a lot of data, which if we don't have the right tools, we will face difficulty to analyze those data, so we cannot perform our job in a very precise way. And there are a few actually tools that can be used, to analyze the data. Of course, Excel is the most important one, and it's the most, available, right? Tool is it is free, but how good are we in using Excels? There are also other few platforms. If we talk about Power BI, if we talk about Tableau and other forms, which we use some of them, by the way, they save time, they save effort, and they save money, by the way, for the foundation and the organization, how to analyze and how to perform how to plan in a very proper way for the future. So I'm very happy, for Accent to have chosen this very important topic, because I believe every single organization actually in need of such kind of skills, and competencies, in order for us all to be able to plan, to help us in the decision-making process, because whatever decision that you take, it has to rely on data, right? So it has to rely on right data and right interpretation of data. So without mastering, the data and having the capability to analyze that data, you will face difficulty, and that might lead you to take a wrong decision and lose some opportunities. So I'm very happy to see Axine is trying to uplift actually the CSOs and empower them with such kind of important, capacity building components, areas, so we can uplift our CSOs or non-profit organizations to the level of the corporate. If you look at the corporate, right, companies, for-profit companies or public agencies, you find them, they use a lot of, good data tools, and they have a lot of data, and they know how to interpret and how to analyze the data. Why? Because they are working for money, right? So they want to make use of whatever they have to ensure that they maximize their profit. I believe we deserve these tools more than them, because we are working to get good deeds, which actually is much better than money, right? So the more that you serve the community, the more effectiveness you are, the more efficient you are. Of course, that will lead you, the more you can serve the community, the more you can serve the poor, the more you can help, the more you can support. And nowadays we are in a very dire needs, actually, more than any time before, that the CSOs have to multiply their effort, their time, their support to the people out there. If you look now, I think the white flags are everywhere, right? Unfortunately. So how can we be more effective, more efficient, without having proper tools that inshallah will lead us to take our right decisions, to analyze the data that we have, to distribute our work and classify our interventions. So once again, thanks everyone to be part of, for being part of this this workshop, and we pray that inshallah Accine also will continue the good journey that they have started, and we are all happy inshallah to cooperate, to support with whatever we have inshallah ta'ala. Barakallah feekum. Thank you so much indeed. I pray this inshallah session will be run smooth, and looking forward for more sessions inshallah in the future. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Saleh, for those encouraging words and emphasizing the importance of having the right tools to conduct our works on a daily basis. And now I would like to present the CEO of Accine and also the chairman of the workshop series, Tuan Haji Muhammad Jamaluddin Shamsuddin, to take the screen. Tuan Haji.
Thank you pada pengurusi majlis, Puan Rafidah, the program coordinator, Dr. Saleh Bazaid, CEO of Nama Foundation, Pak Sasongko Yudo. Thank you very much for your time here from your busy schedule. Datuk Dr. Abang Abdullah, thanks for being here, Datuk. And also the team from Justice for Palestine, members of vaccine, members from ABIM, IKRAM, which is live on Facebook now. And as mentioned by Dr. Saleh, I think this is our emphasis to develop the latest state-of-the-art tools in improving our organizational effectiveness, especially the NGOs, civil society. There's a lot of limitation in terms of resources. Therefore, we need to work smart and work effectively. And we have already done, this is the 4th workshop, and 2 of the workshops are in data analytics. Yeah, the first one was use of data analytics and social influencing studies or strategies rather, by Mr. Hassan Al-Baitam, Launch Good Marketing Manager from Toronto, Canada. And now we have Pak Sas, who will be helping us with different angle, but there's a lot of overlap, alhamdulillah. It's a topic that's quite challenging and new to most of us. In Pak Sas, you have to know, but many of us are laymen. We are not masters or PhD students. So we need to digest it, but this is a second time, so that is very good. And one thing that we realized, we had a session on financial sustainability of CSOs, crowdfunding. There was one session on social influencing strategies. And then you had data analytics, which focused on Google Analytics. And now we have data analytics with open data. And we realized when we have a workshop like this, some of it is about 3-4 hours. In a normal workshop, physically, we may have 50 or 100 people. But what happened to our surprise was, in our first session, because we had to do it online, we cannot do it physically, there was, to our surprise, pleasant surprise, 1,300 views of the workshop. And the beauty of the workshop is that you have the whole workshop recorded, and you can go at your own time, at your own convenience, and see certain parts and revise. So it's fantastic in my view, and we hope this situation that we are now will benefit all of us, inshallah. Allow me just, Pak Sas, to just give a brief overview of data analytics for our benefit. Yeah? And data analytics can be said to be seen as the new oil, yeah? An immensely untapped asset, with the amount of data produced daily reaching a whopping amount of 1.5 quintillion bytes. Pak Sas can explain later. Possibilities to use these resources are endless, from marketing to manufacturing to civil society. For marketing to manufacturing, this data can be used in a lot of ways, yeah? Such as to optimize processes, target new customers, understand human behavior, and perform predictions to assist, for example, medical practitioners on medical diagnosis. Leveraging data through analytics can be divided into 4 stages, I think, very briefly. The first stage is the simplest form of analytics, which is descriptive analytics. In this stage, we like to ask ourselves, what is currently happening in the CSO world, and what is actually other people's impression of us? You know, we have big Islamic organizations, Jabatan, Majlis, and they're just doing what they want. And there is no bridge or feedback of what others think about you and what is the situation, what is the thing on the ground that needs to be addressed. So the question of, are there any trends that the data is showing? You know, is it going up or down? The data was gathered, just used together what is happening with the trends and the pattern. The second stage after that, the first is the situation analytics, and then the second stage is the diagnostic analytics. In this stage, we would like to derive the reason behind the trends, what and the behavior, what's happening. What is the reason behind all these trends? We have identified the trends. What is the reason behind the trends? We ask who does the trend, why does the trend keep increasing? What is the reason behind it? The whole idea is to drill down the root cause and gather supportive information that help describe the observation made in the descriptive analysis. So in this stage, we'll be asking why the trend implies as we observe it. The third stage of analytics is the predictive analytics. This is the stage where the analytics starts to get interesting. With predictive analytics, we can perform forecasting on past data that has been collected. In this stage, we can infer on the likeliness of an event to happen based on the previous information that we know. Using historical patterns to predict specific outcomes are the general idea behind this stage. Imagine if like being able to predict future, however, with backed up data to support the assertion. In the end of the day, the good data always beats opinion, as it is objective and based on facts. The last and most intricate form of analytics is the prescriptive analytics. In this stage, we ask ourselves, what do we need to do? We have all this information, we have all the trends. What do we need to do? Now that we know the trend, the reason behind it, and what is likely to happen, the next step is to prescribe necessary actions and strategies to ensure our initial objectives are met, our strategies are met. What are the actions that are required? This requires advanced analytical techniques from a combination of domain knowledge and data science to make specific recommendations. In this context, Google Analytics can help. Contoh is an example. Humans are capable to rationalize and make decisions based on prior experience that we have gained throughout our lives. However, with the mass amount of data being generated every second, might as well be leveraged on the capabilities of computers, of machines, to expedite analysis and help us in the decision-making process so that faster and better decisions can be made. By this way, we will have a huge advantage over the rest who still are using conventional ways to make decisions. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward and kindly invite Pak Sasongko Yudo to take the floor. Thank you, sir. Tafadhal.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you, Haji Jamal, Dr. Saleh, and all the member of the today's session, all the participants of today's session. Okay, let me introduce myself first. My name is Sasongko. I'm the CEO of IBIDES Malaysia Sdn Bhd. Okay, a bit brief about my company, what our company doing. My company is actually a subsidiary of PT IBIDES Indonesia. So basically, our HQ is in Indonesia. Yes, we started operation in Malaysia since 2003. It's about 17, 18 years ago. Yes, we've been in Malaysia and we've been serving a lot of various of government agencies, private sectors, such as Department of Statistics, Polis Diraja Malaysia, Ministry of Communication, yeah, and so many others. Those are our clienteles, and our focus is in the data intelligence, data analytics, data intelligence, and also artificial intelligence, which is now we use the term big data to comprise all those terminology, right? So today I would like to share with you some. I hope everyone can see my screen here. Okay, today I would like to share with you some of the perspective of data analytics, where we are using the open source data. Open source data here means that the data is captured from the open source. Open source meaning the open space, open domain. It is not internal data, it is not organization data, but it is data that has been published in the internet. So that's what we call in the term of data analytics or big data, that's what we call open source data. Okay. And then, yeah, this is where our company doing. Yeah, we are focusing on AI. Basically, actually, we are doing the AI, artificial intelligence. But when we do the artificial intelligence, like it or not, we have to deal with massive of data, because to make the intelligent to the machine, we need a massive amount of data to train the machine to have the intelligence and how the machine behavior, like how the human being logical thinking, something like that. Okay. First, if you see in the screen, right, this is the one I would like to, okay, to do like Haji Jamal mentioned, I will try not to go into very technical. That's why I will go a lot of examples and also case study instead of technical terminology or technical architecture. Okay, let's start with this screen, right? So I'm sure everyone aware and also familiar with the screen, right? The screen, yes, everyone, every day we are using the screen, the Waze, the Google Map, right? So Waze and Google Map, we started using that application to give us direction. Let's say we want to go from one place to another place. Which direction I should take, for example, right? So this is the first use of Google, right? But through years, after from one development to others, actually Google getting smarter. It's not only giving us information of direction, but Google also can give us the situation of the direction. It's not only the direction, but the situation of the road or the highway that we're going to on the direction, right? Google can give us, okay, this area is traffic jam, this area is not traffic jam. Okay, you can go this one. Okay, if you take this one, it will take you 1 hour. If you take that one, you can take you is faster, something like that. There is a toll, or even in Waze can give us information. There is a speed trap camera, there is a police, there is a roadblock, something like that, right? So do you ever think how actually Google do that? How Google can understand that in Jalan Ampang there is a massive traffic jam, but if you take Jalan Sultan Ismail, there is no traffic jam, for example. How Google do that? So Google use what we call the crowdsourced traffic data. So it's not like Google have using their satellite monitoring from the aerospace, looking at the map, oh, this one a lot of car. No, actually it's not like that. Or perhaps Google have a lot of people, a lot of Google employee or voluntary, they are standing on the road and then reporting to Google. No. How Google get the data is actually because we are giving our own data to Google, right? When you are using the Google Maps and you are activating your GPS, every second, every minute, our application, our devices will communicate with Google to tell Google, now I'm here. This is the GPS location. Maybe 10 seconds later, our devices will inform Google, now I'm here. So on and so on and so on. For next 10 seconds, 5 minutes, next 1 hour, we always update Google. This is my location. Google, this is my location. So that's why when there is one road and Google detect there are about, let's say, 100 devices updating to Google, the GPS, and they are moving, for example, the road length is about, let's say, 5 kilometers, but they are moving about 1 hour. It takes 1 hour for 1 kilometer. Then Google will interpret the data and that this road, there is a traffic jam on this road. As simple as that, right? So who give the data? Like Dr. Saleh mentioned just now. If nobody activating the GPS, then Google will not be smart. Google don't know whether this road is traffic jam or not. If everyone agree, okay, let's say everyone now switch off all GPS, definitely Google will not be smart anymore. Because of we all activating our GPS, then Google can capture the data and Google can interpret data using that analytics like Haji Jamal mentioned. Okay, prediction. Okay, because all the devices moving very slow, then this road is traffic jam. They put the color red. As simple as that. So this is what we call crowdsourced traffic data. Google able to be smart, to be intelligent enough, using the data that belong to the public, not Google's data, public's data, which we are voluntarily surrender to Google. So this is one example. So because Google doing it every day, every minute, every second, then Google also can have predict our behavior. For example, if you go to Google timeline, yeah, this is quite surprising for some of the audience. Hey, actually Google tracking our movement for past 3 months, past 6 months, something like that. You can check where you're going, and Google can start analyzing, can start studying our behavior. Yeah. How Google able to do that? Yes, because we are voluntarily giving our data to Google because of the data. And it's not data, Google data, it's public data. So this is one of the example. Another example, I'm sure you also aware about the screen. We have, for example, like Facebook, online shopping. We have like property, iProperty, portal. Yeah, from social media, online media. This is where transform our decision decision behavior. For example, like when we want to do shopping. Last time, if we want to buy something, we go to the shopping center. For example, we go to the mall, for example. Then we go from one shop to another shop to see, to check the items that we want to buy. But today, how we going to do the shopping behavior is changed. We don't go to the shopping center. We go to the online shopping. We go to the Facebook online shopping. We go to the e-commerce platform, and we start looking at the things that we want to buy. So we don't need to go out from our house. We just stay in the house. We start browsing, and we start selecting the item. This item is good, this item is not good. Even we can compare the price. Even we can also see how people commenting about that item that we want to buy. Right? So this is our shopping behavior. Then only, yes, we go to the mall. Straight away we buy because we know already exactly what we want to buy. We already confirm this is the price in the e-commerce. So if the shop gives expensive price, then you can bargain because you already have the knowledge. You already run some decision support methodology. Yeah. Or perhaps if you want to buy or rent a house, or you want to sell a house. Last time, if you want to buy or rent a house, what we did is we call the agent, and then we tell the agent, I want to rent the house around, let's say, Taman Tun in Kuala Lumpur, for example. Okay. Then, okay, the agent, okay, I know your requirement. Is there any price range? Yes, I want to find between, for example, rental 2,000 to 3,000, for example. Then the agent will start working, give the list to you. Okay, sir, this is the list of the house. Okay, then let's meet up. After we meet up with the agent, then we go one by one from one house to another house to check the house. Right? But today, if we want to rent a house, what we do first? We go to the property portal. For example, in Malaysia, like iProperty.com. So we go to the property, then we look, we search the area that we are interested. Let's say Taman Tun. Then the portal will give the list of all the house in Taman Tun. Then we can filter. Okay, I want this price range. Then you can check one by one the house. You don't need to go out from the house because the iProperty give you, present to you the analysis. Even sometime, right, after we see the house that we are interested. Okay, what we do? We look at the address. After that, we go to Google. We open Google Street. Google Street, right, is an advanced map solution from Google. We can see 3D, 3-dimension, like we are on that street. We go to Google Street and we look at the surrounding neighborhood. Okay, this house is next to this house. Oh, it's also next to some shop lot, or easy for us to buy things, for example. Then we can go there. Then only after we confirm what we do, then only we call the agent. Not to tell the agent, give me the list. No, agent, I want this house. How much the price? Can we negotiate? Straight away. Because, yes, we got the data. So basically, Facebook, online shopping, e-commerce, iProperty. First thing, similar like just now, Google. How they get the data? Are they sending people to do survey? No. E-commerce, Facebook is just the platform. Who gives the data is also the public. The e-commerce sellers, the one who posts all the items that they want to sell. In iProperty, the one who posts is not the iProperty.com, but is the owner of the house, the agent. They are posting, they give the data to iProperty.com, and iProperty is just become the house for us people to find a house, to rent a house, something like that. So basically, this is where the data, the new data revolution. You don't need to enter the data. You just provide the platform, and then people will contribute the data. Right? So this is what we call the open source data. It's not from internal. It's not like iProperty or I have a staff. I send them every day to do survey. No, they just provide the platform. Public give the data to iProperty, and iProperty present the data to other public again. Same like Facebook, same like Shopee, same like Lazada. They don't need to post the items they want to sell. Let the seller, let the public post all the items, and then they present the items to public again, something like that. Okay, this is lead to the explosion of unstructured data. Okay. Unstructured data, if you heard about big data, they're always talking about structured data, unstructured data. Structured data is data, most of our internal data is structured data. Excel sheet, our internal data mostly is structured data because we are the one who set the data. We set the structure of the data for our own purpose. That's internal data. But when come to the public data, when come to the open source data, the data is unstructured. Data can come from various formats. Some of data in the text, for example, like our WhatsApp group chatting, our mailing list, for example, when we are talking in lawyer.net, for example, for forum, or when we go to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there are a lot of format of the data, text, pictures, video. And then if we go to the online media, because nowadays, yeah, newspaper, nobody reading newspaper anymore. That's why a lot of media, Utusan, Berita Harian, The Star, they are moving to the online platform because it's fast. And then they can publish data anytime. You don't need to wait the publishing to do printing. They can just post anytime. That's why if we see now, a lot of new media company established. We see Malaysian Gazette. We never see the newspaper of Malaysia Gazette. Bebas News. What else? Yeah, a lot of The Vibe, Malaysia Now, mostly even Malaysia Kini, one of the pioneer in the online media. We never see the newspaper of Malaysia Kini when the company established in around 98, 99, end of 90s, right? They straight away using the online because it's fast and they can survive until now. In fact, some of those printed media, for example, like Utusan, they have like trouble time before, right? Now they active again. So all the media is moving to online, which is contribute more data in the internet. Right? And then if you see the last one, you see the map with the location. Maybe 10 years ago, when we look at the map, oh, this one is not our domain. Map is JUPEM, Jabatan Ukur dan Pemetaan. When we're talking about map, yes, this is Atlas lah, the book, for example. But now, even those kind of map, geospatial, GIS, geospatial information system, is no more something expensive. It's no more something exclusive. We have GIS, we have geographical information system in our pocket in the form of Google Map. Last time, oh, this one expensive. This one only JUPEM can afford to have GIS. But nowadays, everyone can afford. And how Google Map, as I mentioned just now, can have very massive, tremendous amount of data is not because Google key in one by one, because we put in our Google, we put our shop, we put our location, we put our office, we put our event in Google. We contribute data to Google. Google using the public data. So it's very interesting, right? Okay, then with all those explosion of data come everywhere. That's why 10 years ago, people start talking about the terminology of big data. Yeah. What is big data? Big data, every year there are big data conference, big data weeks, big data seminar, and so on and so on. Even our prime minister before, every prime minister also talking about big data, how we use the big data in the government policy, decision making, for example. So I just took from the Wikipedia. Basically, yeah, I don't want to be so complicated. Big data is something encompassing terms of any collection of data sets that is large, not only big, but large and complex, that becomes difficult to process using traditional data processing applications. So this is the terminology of big data. This is the definition of big data that I hope the layman can understand also. So basically, you see, you just look from the color, the red color. So big data must be something large, something complex. And there must be also processing. It's not just data storing. There must be some processing. And also it must be comparable with traditional methodology. So I always tell this to all my clients. Puan, Dato, simple. If you want to implement big data, the first thing you need is data. You must think of the data first, not the tools, but the data. What kind of data that large enough you want and complex enough you want to process, where your existing application, your existing system cannot process anymore. Yeah, because because big data for past 10 years become the trend, it become like a bubble, right? That's why some of the big data project fail also, because it's not because of the tools, but the mindset and the understanding of the definition of big data. I always mention that big data, you must have data which is big. Big data without data is not big data. Big data is not tools, it's not software. Software system is just the last mile of one big data implementation. The first thing you have to think is data. What kind of data you want? And then after that, what kind of problem statement you want to solve with the data? You have to start from that angle. Then only after that, we study the data. Then only we shopping for what kind of platform we want to use. So yeah, don't start with the platform, but start with the problem statement and what kind of data to solve the problem statement. So this is the definition, simple definition of big data. Yeah. So what are the challenges of big data? Of course, first is the volume. Yeah. If tuan-tuan, puan-puan, Dato', Doctor, looking at your WhatsApp group, your WhatsApp application, you can imagine every one of us, even on yourself only, how many chatting, how many texts produced from your WhatsApp application every day. It's huge, especially if we join all those groups, right? So huge data. So wake up from our sleep, for example, in the morning, we look at our WhatsApp group. Oh, so many chatting there, so many posting there. Okay, first it's data. Then we start our activity. We go out from our house, we want to drive. Then again, we open Google Map, Waze, we want to find the direction. Again, that's the data, right? And then after activity in the afternoon, okay, during break time, I want to buy something. You open Shopee, for example. E-commerce. Again, that's data. That's why, imagine in our 24 hours, how much data we are dealing with. For every individual, we're not talking about big organization, we're talking about individual. A huge. We open the media online. We open the social media. We open our Facebook. We open our Twitter. Maybe you can try calculate one by one. You count one by one. How many data actually are we dealing, right? 2 days. Yes, the volume is huge. That's why the first thing that you're going to deal with big data is also the volume. The first is the volume. Second is the variety. Variety meaning what? The format of the data. As I mentioned, WhatsApp. You got text, you have image, you have video. You use Google Maps, you have the geolocation. geospatial data, where you go to e-commerce, again, text, pictures. Yes. You open YouTube, video, voice. The variety of data also give a big challenge for us how we're going to manage it. And then velocity, the speed of the data coming is very fast. Straight away, when UMNO announced withdrawal support Perikatan Nasional, all the social media, a lot of data come very fast, right? It's very fast. So if you want to do, okay, I want to monitor the social media, even from the event, the recent event, the UMNO incident. Yes, you will deal the data that's coming very fast. And you cannot say, Twitter, please stop your data first because I want to copy. Cannot. Data keep coming. That's why it's one of the challenges. You have to deal with the data that's coming very fast. Our internal data, easy. Why? Because our internal data we can control. Okay, today very fast. Okay, I put in the queue first. I will do it tomorrow. Right? We can talk like that when it comes to our internal data, our internal organization data. But when it comes to social media, you cannot like that because data coming very fast. If you don't capture now, maybe tomorrow the data gone already, right? If you go to Twitter, for example, how many days you can track the history? No, they just limit few days only. So if you don't capture now, if you don't process now, you're going to lose the data. That's why velocity is one of the challenges of the data. Variability, analysis. Yes, just now Haji Hasan mentioned about predictive analysis, prescriptive diagnostics analysis, descriptive analysis. But when it comes to the big data, the variable that we're going to involve in that analysis is huge. Variable in terms of what? Format, in terms of location, person, figures, numbers, location. Yes, the variable a lot. That's why all combined into what we call the complexity. Complexity also a lot, right? Also huge. So these are the challenges when people dealing with the data. But the option is the decision is depend on us. If you want to go into big data, yes, we're going to have a lot of insights. But these are the challenges that you're going to face. If you don't want to touch big data, it's okay. But you will be left behind. Other people know already. Other people can do the prediction what's going to happen next month, for example. How about the parliament issues, for example? How are you going to predict? Of course, we look from you got internal issue, but also how's the social media? How's the public perception, right? So whether you like it or not, we have to deal with the big data in the end of the day. Let's say we want to do public perception. Yes, in the traditional way, we run the survey. One survey, let's say, can take 1 week, 2 weeks for data collection, and then another 1 week to do the analysis. But that's right. If you do it 3 weeks, and then when the result ready, the issues already changed. Especially, let's say you want to do survey on politics today. It's very difficult. Yeah, let's say we want to do now, okay, first public perception about the current UMNO situation, for example, from the politics. We run the survey, 3 weeks later, early of August, the issue of politics already changed. It's about parliamentary. It's no more about whether you agree or not agree with the UMNO decision. It's late already. That's why if you want to know about the analysis of public perception, the best way is go to the big data. We capture social media, we capture the online media, and we try to come up with some insight from there. Okay. So, okay, this is the first technical view. Hopefully, okay, Haji Jamal. This is just a technical general architecture, how we implement the big data or data analytics or open source data analytics. Right? Okay, if you look at the picture, if you look at the illustration, we can see there are 3 stages: data acquisition, data science, and visualization. Data science, this is the one that quite popular also today. Data science, data scientist, yes. Okay. But the important is not data science. It's not the data scientist. But the important thing is on the left side, data acquisition. That's why the way we read the architecture is from left to right. You cannot start from the right. You must start from the left. You have to think about data acquisition. Most of big data project, if you start from the right, you start looking from software I, looking from software for analysis. For example, like SPSS, Python, R. Okay, we have to learn. No, you have to start from the left. You have to think, you have to study about the data. What data you want to get to solve what kind of problem statements. So data acquisition, like Dr. Saleh mentioned, you can have very expensive platform, you can have very expensive data analytical tools. But in the end of the day, if you don't have the data, then it becomes white elephant. So better start from the left, data acquisition. Okay, I want to analysis on the politics. Okay, for example, politics. Okay, so what data we need? Oh, we need data from social media. We need data from online media. We need data from SPR, for example, to see the result of the last election, for example, because we want to overlay. We want data from the statistic department. Why? Because we want to know unemployment, the poverty, because we want to overlay with the political. We also need data COVID. We want to see correlation, the political tension and also the new cases of COVID, for example. So we start list the data and then we start thinking how we're going to get the data. So this is where a lot of approach you apply. You can have like using the connector, using the web scraping, using crawling, and so on. So many other methodology. Then only you put your data into the data science exercise. You do the analysis, you do the data management, you structure the data, how you're going to save the data, and then you do processing. Only the last you do the visualization. So this is from the technical perspective, any big data project implementation, any data analytics implementation, you must start from the left. Don't start from the right. Yeah, I've seen already a lot of agency, they try to start big data project, but they start from the right. They start buying the software first. They're using all the big names, IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, all those big names. But in the end of the day, when come to the result, when the audit comes, okay, so what's the result of your big data? Most of the excuse is always the same. Oh, okay, we already set up the platform, but now we don't have the data. Only we want to look at the data, but budget already spent. Then they will only start cranking what kind of data you need. Oh, this project become white elephant because we don't have the data. So blame the project. But we have the platform. No, big data project is analytic project. That's why if we refer to Mampu ETU, they always use the term BDA, big data analytics. It is an analytics. The A is analytics. It's not application. But people, although they already mentioned big data analytics, but they still treat big data as an application. Meaning what? Once I buy the software, I press the button, the result will come up. No, it's wrong. Analytics, yes, analytics is something that is never ending. It's always continuous in a cycle. Data collection, science, visualize, collect again data. So it's analytics. It's a research basically. So when it comes to the research, of course, in any research, we need the first is the data, not the tools, right? So this is actually maybe tuan-tuan, puan-puan, dato-dato in your organization. When you want to start big data project, my advice first, not to explore, not to shop about the software, but look at the study the data and the problem statement. Right? Your problem set, because it is not application, it is an analytics exercise. Okay, this one very technical, I just passed because normally this one for our technical presentation. Okay, as I promised to Haji Jamal, I try to be not to use very technical terms. So in this session, I would like to use a lot of case study. Right. Today I plan to have 3. I hope the time is enough. It's not time enough, then maybe we can just 2 case studies, something like that. The first case study, when we do with the data analytics or big data or open source data and intelligence, is the media. This is where I think this year for past 3 years, everyone looking for how we do media analysis, how we do sentiment analysis, and so on. How big data help to measure the public perception using the media intelligence. Because yes, if you want to run survey, yes, you take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but after that, the issue already changed. Last month issue is all about parliament session. This month issue is about UMNO pulling the support from the government. Next month issue about parliament again. And then suddenly we have new TPM. We have new Menteri Kanan. And then the COVID in race. So how are we going to run a survey if the issue is very dynamic? Right? When you do survey, you must choose one topic. You cannot ask 100 questions to the audience. So the best thing is we use the big data. Why? Because data is already available. People already voluntarily share their perception, share their opinion in social media. All the journalists now, all the media now, it goes online. You don't need to buy newspaper. It's already there in the online, in the internet, right? And we have to do that. Why? Because this is what's happening in the media landscape. This is some illustration. The problem statements. First, when the crisis hits, or when there is an issue, first thing first, the issue will spread within social media, within 1 hour. For next 1 hour, let's say crisis happen now. For next 1 hour, the issue will be discussed, will be talked in the people will share opinion in social media, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, last time we have BlackBerry, WhatsApp, Telegram, and so on and so on. Instagram, yes. And this is not just one way. People sharing in Twitter. The follower receive in Twitter. And the power of thumb, yeah, using our thumb only, using our one hand only, yeah, right, from our handphone, we can just tap share to WhatsApp group. Our friends, our group in WhatsApp receive that information straight away. Same thing. They share in the Facebook, share to another WhatsApp group, share to another Twitter account, and so on and so on. Right. So you can imagine how fast, right, the issue will spread in social media within 1 hour. So if you want to run survey, it takes 3 weeks. It's too late already because it's spread already, including the government. If you want to take action tomorrow, it's late already. Or NGO or any agencies, if you involve in the public perception and you only talk about the next 24 hours, it's late already because within 1 hour, people already talk about that. Within 3 hours, the main player in the media industry, like Malaysia Kini, Bernama, Awani, they already publish the article that happened three hours before. Because online, you don't need to print it. Straight away, open the portal, go to the system, and update the article. In fact, some of the news may be only one small info, but they publish already. They don't need to wait until the full articles. You can see Malaysia Kini, right? Normally, Malaysia Kini always put one paragraph and then put more to follow. Yes, because the information you can update time to time, but at least you publish first. So this is how the media works today. And for journalists, now the work is very easy. Journalists, they don't need to be placed in the Putrajaya. They don't need to be assigned in the parliament. What they need to do is monitoring the social media. Right? When something happens in social media, most of journalists, they will take from social media and then they will post in their portal, in their platform. Whether it is true or not is different story. That's why they just put one paragraph, but the headline is already there. Some description already there. And the good thing, straight away, after they posting in their platform, for example, Malaysia Kini, straight away, automatically, they also spread in their social media because they make integration between their portal and also their social media. This is where the perception develop very fast. Why? Because, for example, there is a rumors happening in social media. And a journalist, it is a rumors. People don't know, but people start talking about it. People start have conversation about it. And then a journalist pick up that conversation and put in their portal. They put the headline, but only one paragraph, and they put more to follow. Straight away, they push it also in their social media. The people, the netizen, we call it now netizen, right? In social media, we'll see, Malaysia Kini already post lah, Malaysia Kini already published. So meaning these rumors is true. Wow, then they discuss again. Then the journalists, also look at social media. Oh, now getting hot. The conversation. Okay, they put more in their article. They update time with that. So That's why if you look at the illustration, it is like a bubble. The issue may be small, the information may be small, because people keep talking about it, then it becomes bigger. Then after 6 hours, people already discuss about this in YouTube, in forum. It's not just posting opinion, but people discuss about that online. And all those search engine like Google, they already finished the indexing of their data, of their crawling. Meaning what? After 6 hours, when something happened, people can search. We can search in the Google. We can Googling already. Something that happened with it. 6 hours is the maximum. Even if the issue very fast and a lot of people talk about it, 1 hour we can Google already. Then 12 hours, people already start doing analysis. Predictive, diagnosis. How can they do that? Yeah, because of Google, because of social media, they try to connect the dots. They take information from 10 years ago, for example, because everything is online. Then they come up in the analytics. And we are not talking about the political scientists. We are not talking about journalists. We are talking people just sitting in the mama restaurant, open their devices, open their smartphone, and start writing. So analysis is not the domain of PhD anymore. It's domain of academic anymore. Everyone can do analysis because data, so many data available. Last time, maybe only academic, because most of the academician, most of the professor, they have access to the library, data in the library. So they can do that. But now you want to know about anything in the world, you just open your smartphone, go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia will tell you. At least you can start the analysis, whether it's right or wrong, it's different story. Then only the newspaper 24 hours later, after they printing, then they distribute tomorrow. So meaning, if we think about the next 24 hours, we only action after 24 hours, it's too late already. Because the issue already big. Within first hour, 3 hours. So it's not, yes, it looks like a scary, but for example, like my client when government, it looks scary. Yes, but if you look from the positive mindset, data already available within 1 hour. Within 3 hours, it's already there. So the question is, how fast you can capture the data? How fast you can transform those data into insight, into wisdom, using all those analytical approach. But first, you have to capture the data fast. So this is where, again, big data come to the picture. Because you're talking first hour, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp group, Telegram, everything. You can imagine the amount of the data. As I mentioned just now, every individual, maybe you have so many data already involved. So this is what we are doing. Yeah, this is our EBDS. This is what we are doing every day, 24/7. Basically, yeah, we are crawling a lot of data, Malaysian data, public data. Not only Malaysian, Indonesia, Singaporean, Philippines, and so on. Because yeah, in the Southeast Asia, we crawl a lot of media. We start with media because nowadays, everything will be talked in the media. And most of the media is online media. So what we do, we crawl the media. It's like how Google captured every media data. So we want to be, yes, the same approach like what Google doing, only we don't crawl everything. We target it, it's more targeted sources. For example, Malay Mail Online, as you see in the screen, right? We capture whatever Malay Mail Online published. It doesn't matter, it is a football, it is about celebrities, it's about politics, economy, but whatever appear in the Malay Mail Online, we capture. Yeah, it's like copy pasting. We copy paste the data. But it's not our staff who copy paste the data. We train our robot to do that. We have hundreds of robots. We train them to understand the content and then we capture the data. Every day, 24/7. That's why if you're talking about Malay Mail Online, in our database, we have 427,000 articles in our database. Because if we copy paste every single articles of Malay Mail Online. Same like the other sources. If you see in the screen, Utusan, we have 300,000. Bernama, we have 300,000. Sinar Harian, we have 290,000. And for Malaysia itself, we capture about 600 sources. Media, be it a mainstream media, portal, or blogs. Of course, when it comes to the blogs, we choose all the popular ones. Yeah. Related with all spectrum. politics, celebrity, market, financial market. We capture all because we want the data. We want to capture the data first. Artis bercerai, yes, we capture first. Are we going to use it now? I don't know. It depends on the problem statement. But at least if tomorrow we want to analyze about Siti Nurhaliza or we want to analyze about Nilofa, I have the data for past 10 years, for example. Because we captured already. We start doing this since 2011. So our database is for 10 years. We crawl 24/7. Yes, it's big data. It's huge. Okay, after we capture the data, for example, like Sinar Harian, this is the one in the picture, right? So what we are doing after we capture the data, we analyze the content. We try to read the content. How we read the content? We try to identify person. Okay, we identify in these articles any name, any person mentioned. As we mentioned here, we have the Muhammad Fazil alias, Khalid Samad, Mahathir, Zainal Frederick. Because in this article, those names being mentioned. And then what's next? What kind of processing we want to do? We want to extract the statements of the person. For example, in the screen, you can see like Zainal Frederick Zakaria berkata, beliau meletakkan keyakinan. So, beliau meletakkan keyakinan is statements from Zainal Frederick Zakaria. So, we extract. It's like paper clipping when you do it manually, right? You open newspaper, okay, you cut the newspaper and then you highlight. This is a person mentioned here. Only how we do this, if we capture hundreds of thousands articles every day, how many people we employ? No, we not employ people. Again, we are using the artificial intelligence in this case. We train our robots. Again, we have robots to capture the content. Now we create the robots, the artificial intelligence. We train them how to learn the people language, the human language. And then, okay, robot, I give you this thousands of articles, hundreds of thousands articles, you read. I want you to detect person, statements, and I want you to relate this statement belong to which person. We train the robot to understand human language, to understand grammar. Especially, we train the robot to understand Bahasa Melayu. It's not English. So the robot will understand, oh, in this article, there is a Zainal Frederick Zakaria. Oh, in this article, there is person named Khalid Samad. Oh, there is a person named Muhammad Fazil alias. Oh, Frederick Zakaria, they have statements. Why? Because that's what we want to analyze from the media. In media, any journalist, any editor, they want to know the person mentioned. They also want to know the statements. Statements is important because if you want to talking about influencing public perception, it's through the statements. That's why a lot of journalists, right? They have to chase the public figures. Dato, tolong komen. Dato, please, what's your comment? Because a news article without statements, there is no value. That's why all the journalists, they have to chase the politician, the CEO, the public figures to get their statement. Because if they don't get the statements, the editor will be upset. Their KPI will be dropped. And people, they like to read statements. People have a short memory. They cannot remember the entire article. But the reader, the people, will remember the statements. If you see all the infographic, right? This Dato, this Tan Sri politician, this YB mentioned about this opinion. The statement is everything. Because those are the one that actually influence public perception. So, we have to capture that. How to do that? Yes, we have to employ people. If you want to employ people, what, 10,000 people? 20,000 people to read and capture? No, that's why. That's where technology comes to the picture. We run data analytics. We run the artificial intelligence. In this very technical, this is what we call natural language processing. A branch of artificial intelligence to understand human language, to understand the human grammatical, which is our organization, one of our organization research. And we also train our AI to understand Bahasa Melayu because so many articles, so many content, so many data there in Malaysia written in Bahasa Melayu. Hansard Parliament written in Bahasa Melayu. Police report written in Bahasa Melayu. Mahkamah Hansard, Mahkamah list, government policy, government announcement, mostly is written in Bahasa Melayu. That's why if you want to analyze those content, then you need to have engine that understand Bahasa Melayu. You need the robot to understand Bahasa Melayu. So this is one of the analytics. So how, after we capture the data, how are we going to perform the analysis? Okay, so I would like to share with you some of our example report. This is quite new. Yeah, we just produced this article. Yeah. Or you can see the screen, right? Uphill battle. Yes, we put the title uphill battle. Hopefully every one of you can see the picture. Sorry, can see the screen. Uphill battle. This is a media intelligence report. Normally we combine with a storytelling. We combine with journalistic storytelling. So we're talking about, in this report, we are talking about media analysis on the impact of COVID, right? Impact of MCO. Okay, so we have journalists also, we have researchers also, we have political analysts also. But when they do analysis, yes, they don't come analysis because of their experience. No, most of our analysts is young people below 30. But we supply them with the big data. We supply them with the data that already processed, that already analyzed. So their job is just to interpret the data. For example, if you look at the SME, okay, first of the issue of MCO is the SME. So how's the trend of SME from January, May, or in the May itself, or in July, daily? Yeah. Let's say the issue of SME from January is a bit down, but towards May, towards June is increasing. Media start talking about SME when it comes to the COVID issues. Then we can also break down into daily. This is in July. How's the exposure of SME when related to COVID? Daily. We did the announcement of Pemulih have impact on the media exposure of SME. Or let's say I'm lazy to read one by one. I want to have the summary. Yes. We create SME and COVID. We query from our data and then let the analysis. Okay, we set the machine to come up with their summary. So we don't need to read one by one. It's possible with analysis, and it is possible because we have the data. Then the system, they can break down the issues. We don't need them to do it manually. Let the system do that. So when it comes to SME, what is the sub issues? So these are the profile, the urgent financial, business safety, and so on. When it comes to the SME, so this all done by the data analytics, by the machine. So you don't need to read one by one and come up with the summary. Straight away, okay, we have what, 10,000 articles for July about SME. Okay, let's break down the issues. And then, yes, we want to see the influencers. Sorry, sir. Talking about the influencers, we define influencers when it comes to media intelligence, people with statements. Because when it comes to the media, you have to separate popularity and also influence. People which popular and people that influencers, that also influencers. Influencers, people with statements. As I mentioned just now, when it comes to the journalistic, statements, the one that influence the public perception. So people that come up with statements, we can consider as influencers. Depends on how many statements he made. And wartawan, the journalists, the media already filter it for us. Because let's say we have 5 people have statements. But when the wartawan, the journalist, will filter which statements that has value that they want to write in their platform, right? Because everyone can have statement, but some of the people or the statement is biasa-biasa, it's a normal statement. So I don't want to put it in the article. So less value. So since the journalist already filtered it for us, that easy. Those people with statement can consider influencers. The more statements, the more journalists, the more media expose statement from one person, the higher the chance that person become the influencer. Right? So as we see here, when it comes to the SME, of course, number one is the prime ministers. A lot of statements of prime minister in the article which relate to SME being mentioned, being exposed in the media. Next will be Ministry of Finance, Minister of Finance, and then Minister of Medec, of course, the ministry that handle the Junaidi, Datuk Junaidi Tuanku Jafar, the Minister of Entrepreneurship, and then the opposition, and then Amir Ali Maidin, one of the industry player. So we can see the influencers. Why we need to see influencers? For example, from government perspective, if you want to measure, are you controlling the perception? Easy. You look at the influencers. If the top influencers in the media is not from your side, meaning you are losing the control of perception, because the media prefer to get somebody else's perception and then put in their media. Something like that, easy. This is the one that I always tell all my clients. You don't need to look at sentiment. COVID, you don't need the big data, it's negative. It's useless you look at the sentiment, because if COVID suddenly positive, then something wrong. COVID, mostly negative. But the problem, you have to check all the influencers. Are you become the top influencers? Because if the government not become the top influencers, then you are losing the perception. You are losing the control of the perception. You let somebody else drive the narrative, because statements will drive the narrative. Okay. So influencers is important. That's why we always compare quarterly, weekly, or even daily. We want to control whether you are still in the control of influencers. And then the next, yes, even Amir Ali Maidin. Okay, one of it, okay, Perdana Menteri, Menteri Keuangan, okay lah, I understand. But now I'm interested with Amir Ali Maidin. I want to profile who else he connected or exposed together when come to the influencers. Then we can run this. As I mentioned just now, because when we crawl the data, when we capture the data, we capture all. It doesn't matter, Amir Maidin on the issue SME, issue politics, everything. So we can link it. When Amir Ali Maidin being mentioned in the media, who else being mentioned in the same articles? Then we can have a link, something like that. Then analysis become easy. Why? Because we have the data already. And we don't need to talk about, oh, we have to search the data. No, because every day we are doing the massive data capture. We just put the query, okay, I want to present in the network analysis. Done, something like that. Then we dig further to the Amir Maidin. Okay, of course, we want to see news. Okay, what kind of news that associate or expose Maidin in the article? Or we look at another influencers, for example, William Ng, Michael Kang. Who's this person? Maybe we also don't know. Who's this person? This is the beauty of big data. Sometimes we don't know the person. But because the system, when they process each article, they understand William Ng is a person. It's not a location, it's not an organization. So they pick up William Ng. Michael Kang, who's Michael Kang? We also don't know, right? Then only, but since William Ng become top influencers, then it triggered our interest. Who's this person? Who's this person? Okay, then we drill down. So instead, we have to look all the person. The big data already filtered to you. This is the priority of influencers if you want to study what they are talking about, because their name being mentioned many times in the media. Then again, I want to do the profiling. It's like, this is like, let's say, special branch. I want to do Michael Kang. It's like how the intelligence works. Special branch, others, they want to relate one person to others, but only the data now is on the media. That's why we call it media intelligence. The approach is actually like, yeah, it's like other intelligence agency. It's like Persikan. Okay, this person, where this person exposed and how this person exposed together, who else, something like that. And again, because we have the data, yes, it is easy for us to run the analysis. Then only the sentiment. How's the sentiment? Positive, negative, compare. We compare between positive and negative. What else? And then the keywords, the highlight. Okay, from the people, the phrase. Yeah, the phrase actually the one that will create the summary. Okay, when come to SME, pemulihan ekonomi, PKP, Perdana Menteri, Usahawan Mikro, Medium Enterprise, Package Perlindungan Rakyat. These are all the phrases that being mentioned together with SME when come to COVID. And on the left are all the people. So for an agency, for example, okay, I want to have announcement that relate with the trend. Then you look at this phrase and you look at these people. The phrase, if you talk something that is not trend in the media about SME, you're talking about everyone talk about this, but you talk different. The chance your narrative, your statement being exposed in the media will be very low because media is not a research agency. Media is a profit-oriented agency. Media need the audience to read. Media need to know what is the trend. Media will write what people want to read, right? So media will look at the global trend. What is the trend now? Okay, it's talking about SME PKP, and you are talking about the financing, microfinancing, or something else. Of course, the chance your narrative being exposed in the media will be very low. And then look at the people. This also you can see who you want to be associated with. Or for example, you want to have a talk show. Who you going to invite? So invite people. Let's say you have a talk show, you have a live chat, live Facebook, and then you look at the people that already popular when come to the topic of SME. Don't invite people that is not popular in the SME because the chance them to be picked up by the media will be very low. Right. So the big data, the data analytics already present to you. This is where you have to go. Then other same also. It's talking about the MCO, for example, micro entrepreneurs. Sorry, this is micro entrepreneurs. Same approach. Okay, micro entrepreneurs from SME, we put it down in the micro entrepreneurs. What is the top issues of micro entrepreneurs? Media, which media? We compare quarterly, bi-weekly, and then highlight when it comes to micro entrepreneur. What is the top keyword? We can see that online business. So when come to the micro entrepreneur between 23rd June until 6th July, for example, in this case, right? This is the time range. When come to micro entrepreneur, it's talking about online business. So if you want to be part of micro entrepreneur narrative of media, then you talk about online business. You relate it with M40, you relate it with others, things that already trend in the media. Don't talk something that is not in the trend in the media. Something like this. Gig economy. Let's say I want to talk about gig economy. Taxi, protection, self-employed. Yes, these are the gig economy. Sentiment. Or you want to talk about employment. It's quite consistent since January until June. The exposure of employment is consistent. So meaning compared to SME is just now is about March, April. The trend is increasing. But when it comes to employment, it's always consistent since January. Employment issue. What is the employment issues? Let again the big data to give you some analysis. Who are the influencers when it comes to employment? Prime ministers, yes. Menteri of Human Resource. That's why it's the first thing for government. Let's say if government use this system, when government use this system, the first thing, look at the influencers. When come to employment and suddenly Ministry of Human Resource is not one of the top influencers, there's something wrong. Yeah, something like that. So every topic will have their own, like just now, SME. The top influencers, Minister of MEDEC, entrepreneurship. When come to the employment, Ministry of Human Resource. Again, we can look at the same thing also. We change the topic or about the white flag, the issue of the white flag, bendera putih, for example, and so on and so on. Yeah, something like this. Yes. Even from the social media, white flag campaign. What is the hashtag associated with white flag? Rakyat jaga rakyat, bendera putih. Some of kerajaan gagal, bendera hitam, also there. When it comes to white flag. And so many other analysis that we can perform. We can analyze. Okay, this is on the impact of COVID. Let's say this is the latest one we just finished yesterday about UMNO. Same approach also. That's not topic on the impact of COVID. Now you're talking about politics, same also. We just change the query. We just change the topic. The data remain the same. We don't need to crawl the new data because when I crawl, like that, that's what I mentioned. Malay Mail, I crawl everything already. Politics, SME, COVID, celebrity. Yeah. So we just run the query. What kind of query you want? For example, like UMNO. Even when you look at the, actually when starting from January, it's quite declining, but suddenly July, it's very increasing, especially on the 8th, right? Because some incident when there is a spike of the exposure, meaning something happened. Okay, what is the issue of UMNO? I lazy to read one by one. Then breakdown. Most of the issue is about the support to the prime ministers. Support. Then we can compare also daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah. We can break down something like this. Same also, same approach, same analysis. Only now the set of data is different. Influencers. Yes, when it comes to the UMNO, most of it, yes, of course, are the UMNO politician. Bersatu politician not involved in this incident or other party. Most when it comes to UMNO, everything article about UMNO, yes, UMNO politician dominating the statements. Yeah, we can also look at the comparison of the ontology. Who close to who? Because when one person being mentioned, let's say Prime Minister always being mentioned together with Ismail Sabri, then the network analysis will show the closeness. So we can see here that Prime Minister is closer to Ismail Sabri because media always mention together compared to Zaid Hamidi. Compared to other people, Kuan Eng, for example, is quite far. So this network analysis will give you how close one influencers with others. It's not just the number. This one is the number of statements. But who close with who? We don't know. It's just a number. So we run another analysis. Same data. Then we can see here who close with who. Because if you are a politician, for example, you want to close, you are the politician. I want to be closer to that politician. So when you prepare your media plan, you must make sure that you are being associated together. Must be mentioned together. You must understand, okay, let's say I want to be associated with prime ministers. Then we study the prime minister for past this week. Prime minister talking about what? So when I come to my media narrative, then I have to be the same like the prime ministers. So media, the wartawan, the journalists will put your name in the same topic. Then you're getting closer, something like that. Or you want to distance yourself, then don't go into topic that the other person very close to, something like that. So this, we call it ontology analysis. It's like a biology. If we learn biology, right? There is a lot also ontology. Ontology comes from the biology actually, how things exist. But we run it, we deploy it to the politics. It's possible. Something like this. Who close with who? Who close with who? Something like this. Yes. Talking about this, one person. We zoom into one person. We look at the sentiment, but normally today's, we don't need to look at sentiment. If you're talking about politics, very deep analysis, talking about influencers, because this will plan your engagement. Because last time sentiment is popular. Sentiment normally is useful when you run the branding for product. Product, yes, sentiment. Milo and Dutch Lady. Which one positive, which one negative? But when come to the complex issues like COVID, like politics, economy, sentiment analysis become not really contributing, not really significant. If it is branding, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Milo, Dutch Lady, yes, sentiment analysis the first. But when it comes to politics, economy, it's not sentiment analysis, but the influencers. All this analysis normally, yeah, because they will assist the client, the politician, for example, how to move forward. Which one I have to be associated with, which one I have to be distanced with. Something like this. Same also, like just now, topic. The people, the phrase. Let's say I want to know about Kuli. Okay, now suddenly Tengku Razali become one in the picture. Okay, Tengku Razali, we create another topic, we run another query about Tengku Razali, and we break down. Okay, when come to the issue all the Kuli, what is all the top issue related with Kuli? We can do that, slice and dice. Plus just now UMNO, okay, from UMNO suddenly come up Kuli, we drill down again to Kuli. And when come to Kuli topic, Kuli query or Kuli ecosystem, who are the top influencers? Meaning the influencers that being mentioned when Tengku Razali also being mentioned. You can see here, Muhammad Nazri Aziz, Zaid Hamidi, Aziz Bari, and other people there. Again, the network. How about Tengku Razali network? And so on and so on. So if we always say about this is what we call 360 degrees of analysis. Even when you want to go, okay, Nazri Aziz, okay, we drill down Nazri Aziz again. What is the topic of Nazri Aziz? Okay, about majority, yes, you're always talking about the numbers, right? Exposure, January, low, and then suddenly increase again. Influencers that also being mentioned together with Nazri, the network, and so on and so on. Syahidan. So if you have 30 people, politician, you want to do profile, you want to do perisikan, yes, the data is already there. We just type the query, let the system come out, something like this, and then the analyst will write the story. Something like this. Anwar Musa, you want to break down? Yes, we break down again. We can run for every single individual. Najib Razak, we can also run, and so on and so on. Same approach. Or you want to go to the Twitter, social media. Just now is from the online media, Twitter media. Same also. I always run about using the analysis. Okay, it's quite comprehensive for what? A lot of dot, yeah, a lot of color. Those dot is actually the tweets. The person that tweets. So if one person mention other person or retweet other person, we will draw the line. This one line. So that if one person being mentioned with a lot of other people, so it will create a cluster. And depends if it is all the people either talking about, okay, this topic is about UMNO, for example. So who will be cluster that in the middle? Which cluster that is all in the side, not in the middle? Now, if you zoom in, something like this. This is all the account in the middle. I'm sure Tuan maybe your name there. Yeah, this is where relate to UMNO. So all tweet mentioning UMNO, we capture, and then after that we draw something like this. Why? Okay, during this COVID time, right? DG Kesihatan always mention about cluster, and cluster. When it comes to social media, we always use the word viral. Yes, social media is something like virus. It's viral, same like COVID. So how we manage social media is actually the same approach how we manage virus, how we manage COVID. First thing first, you must look at the virality by drawing the line. Who infected who? Contact tracing. Okay, the word contact tracing. Same also in the social media. We did contact tracing in this case. When all related with UMNO, how's the contact tracing? Who mentioned who retweet who? Then after that, we can see, oh, this is a cluster, because in the middle of contact tracing. Yeah. So if you want to do engagement, like COVID, okay, take the people in the cluster, put in the quarantine, for example, right? Or to hospital. Same also in social media. After you define the cluster, okay, what you want to do depends. If that cluster is supporting your interest, you add more people to retweet that cluster. But if that cluster is against you, you take down that cluster, you attack that cluster. But remember, you must define the cluster first. For example, like here, you can see all dot, but is quite alone here. That one is not cluster. It will not viral. It's like COVID. One house, let's say, got 15 people inside, but the house is in the middle of forest. Orang asli, 15 people all kena COVID, but it's very far from neighborhood. I'm sure DG Hisham will not use it as a cluster. Biarkan saja because it's already isolated, already quarantined. That's why you can see here all the dot that is very isolated, is already self-quarantined. Even though the content is very maki-maki, very talking about something that's very bad, is already isolated. So you don't need to do anything. Just leave it. You concentrate because you have limited energy. So prioritize on the cluster. Like this. Everyone, every day actually we are doing this. So yes, I can see whether you are doing your cyber trooper doing work or not. Yes, we can monitor. We can present it to you. Which topic you want to run. Then we can throw this one. So normally, yeah, a lot of cyber trooper group, they don't like us. Why? Because when come to the client, we present. Okay, Dato, your cyber trooper not doing the job. Oh, your cyber trooper is doing the job, but only among their friend sendiri yang retweet, yang mention. It's not in the center of the war. They create their own war. That's right, tuan-tuan puan-puan. When come to cyber trooper, it's not about the number that you target, but it's about your position. It's a warfare. It is perception of war, war or perception. So your target, you must be, if you want to be if you want to be influential in the social media, then you must be in the middle. Something like this. Yes. How? You need the data. Something like that. Same like this. If I want to know what is trending, I look at the cluster. What is the cluster talking about? Of course, I will choose cluster that in the middle, a cluster that is very far away. Maybe we just ignore. So that's on the media intelligence, media and social media intelligence. We're talking about big data and data analytics. Okay. The next analysis, yes. Okay, that's all on the media. Maybe question and answer, maybe we can put later, right? So this is another big data analytics. I'm using the open source data also. We did it in the early of 2020, around January, February, when COVID, yes, just start to grow. It's not in Malaysia yet, right? Malaysia only on March, but when comes January, February is already there, the news. So we run the analysis because at that point of time, yeah, we have some work with Ministry of Health. So we try to understand because nobody knows about this COVID. Yes.
Can you just hold for a short while?
Sure.
Before you move into the COVID.
Okay.
I think there's some question about talking about influencers.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
Tools and so on. There's some question. Maybe we can just.
Okay, sure. Okay,
yeah.
Haji.
Your analysis is of the local scenario. How do you assess international scenarios, for example, the Palestinian issues? Who are the influencers? What is the trending issue and things like that? Can you just briefly mention that, please?
Same approach, yes, Haji. Same approach. Let's say we actually also our focus is in the Southeast Asia, Malaysia, but we also crawl data from the international, from European media, US media, Middle East media, China media. Yeah. We also crawl. So if we want to analyze from the international perspective, of course, first we want to run the query in our data because data already captured 24/7. Let's say the Middle East media, we capture 24/7. When we do capturing, it's not like, oh, we need, then we only capture. No. Every day, 24/7. Just not the one that I show is Malaysian. That's why if you look at the, just now. Okay. Case study media intelligence. Okay. This is country Malaysia. Actually, when we drop down here, we have from other country as well. So let's say you want to run analysis about Palestine from Middle East media. Then we just, when the query, you just limit the range is from the Middle East media only. Then we can also run another Palestine issues, but from Southeast Asia media. Then we compare. It's possible. It's just about the way we do the analysis. But the most important, you must capture the data first. And that's what we are doing every day. 24/7, we're capturing worldwide actually. Only the focus, the bigger number of media is in Southeast Asia. Like Malaysia, we capture about 600 sources of media. And then when come to Indonesia, it's bigger. We got about 2,000 media in Indonesia. We monitor 24/7. We capture 24/7. So when we run the analysis, the data is already there.
So can I say it's correct that the intensity, extensiveness of the big data for other regions of the world is about the same?
Yes,
Ataupun
yes, about the same. Yes,
about the same, yeah? Wow,
yes,
mashallah.
about the same.
It's not focused. You said you're focusing on Southeast Asia.
I mean, when come to the basic standard, it's about the same. Only we add more for Southeast Asia, lah, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. But if you just want to know on the Palestine, for example, on the Middle East, we capture about 20, 25 media every day.
Doctor, can it be backdated or just on the current news?
We start crawling since 2011. Yeah, Tuan. So when we crawl, okay, this is when come to the open data. You cannot crawl the history because we cannot. This data does not belong to you.
Okay.
Right. So when you want to run big data, you have to run now. You cannot run. Okay lah, I run next year, but I can crawl the history. No, cannot. That's why we start crawling actually since 2011, 10 years ago, Tuan. We start crawling and we keep in our database. We never delete. Once we got article, yes, we are crawling. That's why our storage also in Malaysia, in our data center in Malaysia, we have about 100 machines. In Indonesia,
meaning that if you want to start today, let's say we start today, we have to we couldn't we want let's say info about 10 years back. Cannot, eh?
maybe
Cannot. It cannot be done.
Yes, maybe can, maybe cannot. If the sources keep their history, yes, we can. But if the sources does not keep the history, then we cannot, because open data is not your data that you cannot control.
Okay.
Any other questions? Maybe for the next 1-2 minutes.
Especially like social media, like Twitter. That's why we start crawling, because UMNO then this one. We cannot pass to the history, yeah, but we have the database. But if you late to capture, maybe let's say I capture next week, maybe this data is no more there, something like that. Because Twitter only keeps 6 days, average, yeah, 6 days only. After 6 days, they will delete. You cannot capture anymore.
So, but that big data is available with certain people, certain groups, and it will cost. Yeah, it is a cost to it, lah.
Yes.
The historical data of 10 years, kan? Kalau somebody have it, then.
As you mentioned in the beginning, Haji, data is the future oil. Data is investment.
Wow.
That's why when we see this 10 years ago, 2010, 2011, with the booming of online media, then we start invest. Of course, it's not cheap, the investment, because to manage 100 server in Malaysia, it costs hundreds of thousands every month.
Wow.
Yeah, but yes, we believe, as you mentioned, data is the future currency. Yeah. So that's why it doesn't matter. It's not like PRU 13 or some Langkah Kajang only. No, we capture all. Bola, artis bercerai, artis telanjang pun kami, artis isu dia buka baju pun kami capture. Something like that. Yeah.
So you're saying most of it is in bahasa Malaysia here in Malaysia. Jadi kalau Middle East ni or Europe, you have it in different languages.
For Middle East, we targeting only the English language first, not the Arabic, because in our of course we are commercial entity, we are business entity.
Yeah.
Because most of the client is from Middle East is less client. Mostly is Malaysia and Indonesia, and interested in the Southeast Asia, because this is business strategy in the end of the day, right? When we want to have investment, we cannot invest like Google. We invest all, right? We have a limit in terms of funding. So we focus, because we are targeting, this is again business strategy. We are targeting the local, Malaysia, Indonesia, but we are invest a lot in the local language, bahasa Malaysia, bahasa Indonesia, because that's where the IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, they cannot compete, because they don't have the capability to understand bahasa Melayu. Like police report, you have millions of police report, and all written in bahasa Melayu. That's why when IBM everything try to penetrate, they cannot, because their engine only understand maybe Middle East, they understand Chinese, they understand English, they understand. But when come to bahasa Melayu, nobody willing to touch. Is Indonesian and Malaysian market is too small for them. Yeah, that's why we on the business strategy. This is the area that the big name that don't touch. So we penetrate that area lah, something like that.
Interesting. But Sas, just one more question. How much
Yes.
do you use data analytics for your analysis?
Oh, we have a lot.
Google Analytics. How much
Okay.
do you use it?
How much meaning what? I mean, compared to
How
Google
extensively
Analytics.
do you use it?
Okay. Actually, Google Analytics is still on the descriptive analysis. Google, they don't go into AI, machine learning. No. That's why to understand person, location, yes, Google do that, but not that extensive because Google strategy, they want to be a mass worldwide. We don't touch worldwide, but we go deeper. We take vertical approach. Google, they don't do this kind of analysis, this network analysis. They don't go to deep analysis, but they cover all horizontally lah. We try to go vertically. We don't want to compete with Google. We try to find our own market lah, something like that.
Okay, great. Okay, if there's no questions.
Can I ask
One more question, like
Okay.
how do you differentiate between fake news and genuine news? Like
Okay.
fake news.
That's why we must have analysis both in social media and also the online media. Right. So then later we compare the influencers. Right. For example, some issues. We look at the influencers from the online media. What is the top issues in the online media? Okay, let's say for example, this one. Then after that, you compare in the social media. Something like that. So if you have one news, but the news is only very isolated, although this very provocative, for example. If not many people mention, then we just ignore whether it's true or not. Again, back to the problem statement. What you want to do with the problem statement? What is your problem statement? Is your problem statement is if you are government, you want to come up with a narrative, right? Then you must look at the both sides, social media and also mainstream media. If social media, you see some provocative, but when we run the network, it is very isolated, then the chance it is a fake news is high, for example. But if it is in the center, again, this is a perception, it is a propaganda theory, tuan ya. If something being talked with all of people, then the chance it is fake news is lower. But if it is provocative, but it's not being talked by so many people, then the chance if it is a fake news, if you suspect this is fake news, and this one only talk with certain circle, then it is a fake news, something like that. As easy as that. We always believe at that because when it comes to social media, it's like a democracy. Everyone can comment, right? So if not many people commenting, right? Because you cannot limit social media, right? So social media, everyone can comment. You can see, okay, politicians talk about this, but the other people not talking about that. Something like that. So we are not talking about fake or not fake, actually. We have some package about that, but we are not talking about fake news detection, but we call it admiralty analysis. We score the credibility of the news. Yeah, credibility of the news. We are not talking about this is fake or this is true. Credibility of the news. How we do the analysis? If this news is being mentioned by all the mainstream media, that's why we score the media, we score the platform. If the mainstream media talk about this, then the credibility is high. If the social media also talk about this, the credibility of the issue is getting high because you can have the weight from the mainstream media and also online, also social media. But suddenly, one news is only being talked in social media. But in media, in online media, is only the bloggers talk about this. Mainstream media not talk about this. So we can tag that the news credibility is low. Something like that. It's not fake news and not fake news because you need the investigation. So in our approach, when it comes to propaganda theory, is about you define the credibility of the news. That's when you have all the data, you have social media and you have the online mainstream media, everything. That's where you put the scoring. Then you can set the credibility. Oh, this one credible. Or this one less credible. This one less credible, for example. Because when you're talking about the account, the Twitter account, the media source, the blogs, you can tag, right? This one related with politics. This one opposition. This one is government. Then when we start train the machine to understand the tagging, to understand that scoring, then our machine will be smart. Oh, this one is only run by the politician, the issues. And the politician is not the first class politician, it's all the side row, all the bloggers. Even the mainstream media, the journalists do not pick up that issues. So we can put the credibility of the news very low, something like that. That's what we have been doing so far, Tuan. Yeah.
Fantastic answer. Thank you. Any more question before Pak Sas can continue? If it's okay, we will finish by 1:30 lah, Pak Sas.
Okay, boleh.
InsyaAllah.
Okay.
And at the end, we'll have some questions. Please, further, proceed.
Okay. So the next is just now on the COVID. So this analysis actually is not, if you look at the current situation, maybe it's not related because we did this analysis before the COVID explode in Malaysia, right? So this is where we run the analysis when we don't know what is the issue all about. COVID. Nobody have the literature about COVID. So how we going to do crisis management preparation? Because we want to measure the risk of this COVID. While we don't know, it's not certain what is COVID all about, how it spread. We never know. This is we run on January, February 2020, last year. Okay, first, we run, this is what we know is about, anything related with the coronavirus, for example. Another threat upcoming from Wuhan, China. At the point of time, nobody knows, right? What we know is from the media is only the issue that this is from Wuhan. Right? But how it spread, how it's going to infect, we don't know. Okay, but we need to prepare something. We cannot just wait until it explodes, then only we react. We must be proactive. So what we can do using the open source data. Okay, then we can see that from the media, most of the issues, most of the case in Malaysia is brought by the tourists, right? Brought by the tourists. Early of last year, right? When come to the COVID, it's about tourists come from China, travel from Singapore, and so on and so on. And the tourists is the one that we are scared. We are worried that tourists will spread the virus in Malaysia. This one before the first MCO, before the lockdown of the border, when we still open about the border. But we worry that the tourists will bring the virus and the tourists will spread to the neighborhood. So what we are doing, okay, then when it is a tourist become the problem statement, the object, first we must know where the tourist going to stay. The tourists, definitely we're going to stay in hotels, right? Tourists will not stay in the resident area. Tourists will stay in the hotel. So first thing in the problem statement, in the hypothesis, right, on the research plan, we must know the distribution of the hotel, right? And then how's the hotel going, distribution of hotel and the risk object with the hotel, for example, school, for example. So what we did is we crawl from the internet all the hotel in Malaysia and their address. How we capture the data? We didn't talk with the Ministry of Tourism. What we did is the list of hotel in Malaysia is already available in the internet in the form of Agoda, Traveloka. A lot of portals already provide the list of all hotels, homestay in Malaysia with the address, and it is free. It is available in the internet. So what we do is we just crawl all those data. Then we have all the list of the hotel and the address. So after we have all these hotels, because our first assumption, tourists will stay in the hotel. So from the analytical perspective, what we want to do, we want to create a heat map. Heat map is like analysis showing location analysis, showing the epicenter of some density of location. Sum of object based on location, we want to measure the density. We're using the heat map analysis. So from the hotel address, when we look at the heat map, yes, this is the result. Yes, of course, in Johor, Malacca, Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Langkawi, it becomes the heat map because a lot of hotels there. But again, our first assumption, research assumption is tourists stay in the hotel. So meaning, if we want to try to draw assumption, where the virus, where the outbreak going to happen is in this heat map. Yeah. So we want to see first the readiness when the virus outbreak within the heat map. So what we do is we overlay the hotel heat map with the other data, which is the clinic and the doctors. Okay, now we need the data about the doctors and the clinic and hospital. How we get the data? At that point of time, even though we are working with Ministry of Health, but we don't ask their data. What we did is, because Malaysian Medical Council, if you go to their website, they publish all the licensed doctors in Malaysia, because every year doctors must apply license, must renew the license. And they are list down all the doctors and which clinic they are served, which hospital they are served. And not only that, you can see every name, and then you drill down, you can see the where the doctor graduate, how many years already in service, and so on and so on. It's already available there. And it's free, it's public. You can go to Malaysia Medical Council website. There is a data. So because why MMC published that? Because they want to be transparent. If you have you want to go to a clinic, you want to see this clinic credibility of not, you can actually go there to their website and you can search the name of the doctors. And then the portal will tell you the history of the doctors. So because the information is already available there, so what we need to do is just crawl the data because it's already in the internet. We don't need to have MOA or MOU. We just crawl the data. The data has already become public domain. Then in our case study, we have the hotel data, we create the heat map, and we overlay with all the doctors. Okay, we start one by one. We start with the heat map of Kuala Lumpur. If we drill down again, actually the heat map of hotels in Kuala Lumpur is all surrounding this one, KL Central, Bukit Bintang. You can see here the heat map, and the red dot is actually the doctors and the clinics. That's where the clinics within the heat map. So you can see you can break down how many doctors already served more than 20 years, 5 years or less within that heat map area. And even we want to know this doctor graduate from which country, their university, from Malaysia, graduate from India, graduate from United Kingdom, and so on and so on. If you want to go into detail, something like this. This is the heat map of the hotels, which is the potential where the outbreak might happen. Yeah, if we assume the tourists bring the virus, so the outbreak must be start from the hotel, right? So this is the epicenter. Yeah, this is around the KLCC, Bukit Bintang. Yeah, this is the epicenter. Then we overlay with all the doctors to see if the outbreak happen, is the facility ready or not? So for Kuala Lumpur, I think this ready because surrounding the heat map, surrounding the epicenter, there are a lot of clinics and hotels. Let's check on Singapore. Sorry, let's check on Johor, not Singapore. Johor, same thing also. We look at Johor and we can see these are all the clinics. Yeah, distributed within the heat map of the hotel. Let's check on Penang. Yeah. For example, in Batu Ferringhi, this one Batu Ferringhi. This is the heat map, but somehow there are less clinic, there are less doctors in Batu Ferringhi. So in the case that the outbreak happened in Batu Ferringhi, then the preparation is less compared to Johor Bahru, compared to Bukit Bintang, because there are less clinics. So if you want to prioritize, then you can put priority in terms of readiness in the Batu Ferringhi, because you can see the heat map. Okay, this is another interesting. Let's say in Batu Ferringhi, okay, in Penang, when the virus happened, right? This virus is from Wuhan. And we know the China government definitely the China government is very strict when it comes to the information dissemination, right? They will filter it, right? So when it comes to the virus, the COVID-19, of course, at that point of time, China government will filter it, right? They will filter it first. But we want to know because we also need to be ready. We cannot just outbreak happen, then we wait information from China, and then we only do the action. So, okay, we need the information about COVID. How to do that? Okay, now, okay, we look in Penang, or all the Malaysia, we look at the doctors that graduate from China, university in China. Because why? perhaps they can find information from their alumni network. If we wait from the official government, it will take time because they will go to all the bureaucracy and the red tape filtering. But let's say, look, all our doctors that graduate from China, perhaps they can engage them to find out some information from their alumni network, from their university in China. Then we feel down. Actually, Dr. Tai Xichin is graduate from Fudan University and also served in Pulau Pinang, already served about 17 years. So it's quite senior doctors. So if you want to know about COVID and leveraging from their alumni, perhaps you can engage the doctors and also the other doctors. You can see where the doctors serve. So again, I'm not using internal data in this case. I'm just using the external data, which is already published. Then again, we look at just now the readiness because we want to make sure that if outbreak happen, the clinic is ready, right? Then we want to see also the risk. The risk to what? To public school, because let's say if our assumption the tourist goes to the hotels and then suddenly surrounding the hotels there are a lot of schools because we have virus will spread easily in school, right? Because school in one class you got 30 people, you got 40 people, and all kids running here, running around will spread the virus faster. Compare if you want to spread virus in the office area. School is the best place. So that's why we want to see the risk. The risk what? We want to know whether in the heat map of the hotel, whether there is school located in that area also. So now we want to have the data, the location of schools in Malaysia. How to do that? Easy. Kementerian Pendidikan, Ministry of Education already published sekolah menengah, sekolah rendah, and the address. So we got the address, we can have the geospatial data. Oh, this is the one I forgot. Let's say you have address in the text format. Sekolah menengah Taman Tun 2, for example. Jalan Burhanuddin Helmi, for example, something like that. How to get the geolocation? That's the powerful of Google. You get the text, you shoot to Google, you use Google API, you get the geospatial of the data. So you don't need to tag manually in terms of location. You just use the Google API. You can get from the text, they will transform it into a geospatial, geocode, latitude, longitude of that particular location. So from there, then I can have the location, then I can overlay in the heat map. When we zoom, for example, in KL again, actually it's quite less risk because not many schools actually in the epicenter, even in the red one, for KL, less school there. So meaning the chance that the tourists stay in the hotel in the epicenter and will infect the school is less because not many schools in the heat map. Yeah, this is good. Okay, let's try other places, Johor Bahru. Different situation with Johor Bahru. If you look at the epicenter of heat map, the hotels, the tourists, and the school, a lot of school within the epicenter. So meaning the chance the virus will be infected through school brought by tourists is bigger compared to Kuala Lumpur. So that's again, come up with the insight. Whether it is right or wrong, yes. I don't say that this kind of analysis will give you a statistical analysis. No, but this analysis will give you some indicators. Because if you want to go very details, very precise in using the p-value below 5%, for example, we don't have enough time when it comes to the crisis. So what we need to do is to gather insight as much as possible and put it as an indicator. At least you can have, for example, which school have to be closed first? I will suggest Johor Bahru first, compared to KL. And Johor Bahru, let's say you cannot shut down all school, then you choose school which is in the heat map area, in the epicenter, in the red color. This school must close first, something like that. At least to help you give the priority. Oh, let's say, okay, COVID. I don't know, it's all about COVID. There is no journal, there is no paper talking about it. Okay, it's okay. So we want to look COVID from the research perspective. So research perspective is the medical perspective. Medical is always written in the research papers. So what we do is we download a lot of medical paper, and we try to search from the medical paper all related with coronavirus, because we don't know COVID. Nobody wrote about coronavirus. Sorry, COVID-19. But a lot of research already write about coronavirus, because SARS, MERS is part of the coronavirus. We want to see the syndrome, the symptom, the effect. So after we capture 10,000, we're talking about 50,000 medical papers. Then again, we deploy our artificial intelligence. Then to detect. This is we try to classify. If media just now, from the media analysis, we identify person, location, right? But when come to the medical, we try to classify. We train the machine to understand clinical finding, organism, pharmaceutical, and also substance, because that's what relate with the medical paper. Then again, using the network analysis, because we want to know which one close to which keyword, which terms close which terms. Then first we run for SARS, everything about SARS. Okay, this is the terms, something like that. And then clinical finding when come to SARS. Okay, drug resistance, acute respiratory, which is happening now, oxygen, everything. Pneumonia, which is similar like COVID now, right? You feel headache. Or organism. Okay, when come to SARS, organism. Mosquito, dogs, ticks, rodent. Pharmaceutical. That's why when come to pharmaceutical, we identify, we train our machine to understand pharmaceutical terms. And we try to relate. When there is a paper mentioned about this pharmaceutical substance, together with another one, we put a line. So we can see here in the cluster, most of coronavirus will talk about the oseltamivir, antiviral drugs, something like this. So although we are not the medical background expert, but when we run the big data, we can learn faster. Instead, we read one by one of all those medical papers, because the big data, the data analytics already present to us, already filter for us. Substance, something like this. Yeah. Procedure, quarantine, something like this. So this is how the big data analytics that we use when we try to understand COVID-19 in the early of 2020, not 2021, 2020, where nobody have reference about COVID-19. So what we do, okay, from the medical papers, yes, we run the coronavirus, we compare with SARS, we compare with MERS, we compare with H1N1. Yeah, actually a lot of analysis we perform that time. Right? Yeah. So this is an example how the data analytics, how the big data help when come to uncertainty. When you have a crisis, you don't know what is the crisis all about. It's about COVID-19 in the early 2020. Now a lot of medical paper already write about COVID-19. But when you don't know what you're going to do when crisis happen, that's why we look from the location to risk. We look from the medical papers. But with the help of big data analytics, we can run it faster and we save a lot of time. Then only the next challenge is how you're going to interpret and how you're going to transform it into action, which is that one is on the human side, not from the analytical side. Okay, tuan-tuan, I think that's on the COVID-19. Any questions so far? This one is different. This one is not from the media. This one, again, open data, but from different sources. Any question? Any question?
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Oh, Waalaikumsalam. Yeah.
In capturing data, can you capture data from WhatsApp?
Okay. The answer is yes and no. Okay. WhatsApp is already encrypted, right? And WhatsApp already mentioned that encrypted. We cannot capture unless, but there is always a way. Everything that you can see, basically you can capture. But for example, if I want to capture WhatsApp from the one group of WhatsApp, yes, we can capture. How we do that? We must be the member of the group. For example, WhatsApp group ministers, for example, cabinet. Of course, I'm not the member of the group. Of course, I will not be able to capture the content of the WhatsApp group. So, WhatsApp group, if you want to capture, yes, but you need a key. to be inside of the WhatsApp group. For example, Tuan Haji Abdul Halim, for example. Definitely, I will not be able to capture the entire content of your WhatsApp because we never have a discussion, and unless I have your handphone. But let's say I want to capture all the conversation in the Exin WhatsApp group, for example, atau Ikram WhatsApp group, atau Apim WhatsApp group. It's possible, but I have to be member first. Once I have member, then only yes, I can start sedut keluar lah macam tu. That's the way, Tuan. Yeah. Cannot be like Twitter, Facebook. Again, when come to the open data, there is a boundaries. Data yang memang dikunci, it is locked, we cannot capture. But if there is no data yang tak dikunci, it is not locked, we can capture. But how about data yang dikunci? If we have the key, then we can capture based on the privilege of the key that we have. Kalau kita hanya capture 5 group WhatsApp with the key that we have, then only that 5 group WhatsApp lah. We cannot capture the entire WhatsApp. Yeah, because okay, this is also the one that a lot of people mentioned to me. A lot of people offering they can capture the content WhatsApp group, they can hack the WhatsApp, everything. For me, simple as an industry player, simple Tuan. If somebody can hack WhatsApp, let's say Tuan Abdul Halim, let's say I claim, or I can have a tool that I can hack your WhatsApp, I can have your own conversation. First, it's not hacking the WhatsApp, but I'm hacking your phone. I'm cloning your phone. So meaning whatever you write in your phone, it will appear in my screen. That's one way. That's the only way you can hack WhatsApp. But actually not hacking WhatsApp, but actually hacking your phone, cloning your phone, something like that. So of course, I will see all the content in your phone, including WhatsApp, your Facebook, everything, something like that. Because like this, if somebody can hack WhatsApp as an application, yeah, not handphone, yeah, the WhatsApp, that person already rich. Let's say I have the tools that can hack WhatsApp. What I'm going to do? I'm going to sell the tools? No. What I'm going to do, I will go to Wall Street. What I'm going to do, I will sort. I will gambling that tomorrow saham WhatsApp owner, Facebook is the owner of WhatsApp. I will gambling next week WhatsApp Facebook share price will go down. I'm betting. Dalam bahasa market, I'm sorting I'm shorting the Facebook price. And then tomorrow, I will call CNN, I will call CNBC or international media. I will demo to them. Look, WhatsApp not secure. I can prove it to you live. Then when I demo, the next day, saham Facebook jatuh, then I'm rich already. So sometimes if it is too good to be true, it's not true. Yeah. If people claim that they can hack the WhatsApp, basically they are not hacking the WhatsApp, but they are hacking your phone. Yeah. So if you want to hack someone else's WhatsApp, actually what you're looking for is not software that can hack WhatsApp, but software that can hack handphone, for example, something like that. We also capturing from WhatsApp, but the way we do, we become the member. For example, like group finance, group politics. Yes, we join the group, everything. Since we already inside, then using the privilege, we extract the content. Hopefully, the one can answer your question, Tuan Halim. Any other question? Okay, Haji Jamal?
Yeah, are you completed?
Oh, not yet. We have another one, which is quite interesting. Okay.
No, my question, I think at the end, probably just an advice on how CSOs can utilize it in a simple way.
Okay.
And maybe what are the cost implications and so on.
Okay. So, okay, the last case study. Yeah, that's why today I'm talking about the case study. I'm talking about the e-commerce as a market intelligence. Okay, just now the first case study is media intelligence. Second is about using the open data intelligence, using the hotel, using the school. Now we are talking about e-commerce. What is interested here, right? So in our business, actually we also crawl a lot of data from e-commerce, Lazada, Lelong, Mudah, Shopee, and so on and so on. Okay, today I'm going to present you one of the e-commerce. Yeah, from the color, I'm sure you can already predict. Yeah, this is a Shopee data. We crawl Shopee, but when we crawl all, meaning every item, including the property of the item, every item sold, yeah, the price, the seller, the location, and so on and so on. Like when we are browsing Shopee, for example. So what we want to do, because why we come up with this analysis, because people keep telling that e-commerce is a million business, billion business, even billion business, not only million. So we want to analyze, is it true? And how we can leverage from that business. Okay. First, okay, after we crawl all the content of the e-commerce, one of the e-commerce, which is Shopee, then first what we do is we break down into the group, because every item sold in Shopee or in e-commerce, they belong to certain category. So if I want to understand, so in this e-commerce platform, what is the most category with the, sorry, what is the category with the most item inside that category? We can see snacks, books, men's clothing, fashion, automotive, even watches. So quite surprising actually. If you look at the Shopee, you go to men watches, a lot of items sold there. Yeah. So from here we can see, oh, this is where this e-commerce, for example, Shopee, it's like a mall. This mall, what they are selling actually, what category they are selling. It will be different if we go to Lelong, for example, or we go to Mudah. What kind of category of item that they sold in that platform? Okay. Then we go dig further. Okay. Between the seller, because in Shopee they mention international or local, then we can see how many actually seller from international, meaning outside Malaysia, and how many of them actually is local seller. And then when come to the international and local sellers, which category they are focusing, then we can see here, international sellers, they are focusing on clothing, watches. A lot of watches sold in this e-commerce is from international seller. Local mostly on the grocery and pets. This is some insight, right? We know already. And then local seller, we want to know which negeri actually in Shopee they are come from. Selangor, Kuala Lumpur. Selangor is the highest, followed by Kuala Lumpur, Johor, and then followed by Penang. Sometimes why we need to do this? Okay, if you are a logistic company, and you want to plan your fleet to handle the e-commerce, then from here you can see how you distribute your fleet, your logistic, your resources. Of course, don't put everything in the Johor. You put in the Selangor, the highest, because a lot of sellers come from Selangor, right? To pick up or something like that. So we look it from the seller location. And then every seller, they will have their own, we categorize them whether they are niche seller, which is only sell one item. They are broad seller, sell more than one item, or they are supermarket. We want to compare international. International, yes, niche is higher, but quite balanced between broad and supermarket. But when come to the local, yeah, niche market is higher, meaning a lot of seller that is local selling only one item. So if you are people like Traju, or you provide microfinancing, so you want to go to e-commerce, the seller, then you can see here, mostly is a niche market. So how to transform become broad or supermarket, something like that. This is the one that's very interesting, tuan-tuan. Revenue. How I can get this revenue? Because if you look to Shopee, right? You go to Shopee, you can see how many items already sold, right? Not only the item, but how many items already sold. So there is a price. How many items already sold? Then I just multiply. Then I can see for this particular seller, which this item, how many they're making money. Then after that, I combine all the items from these particular sellers. Then I can see their revenue. For example, after from Shopee, I filter it, right? The highest revenue, Nestle. Quite surprising, right? Nestle actually selling a lot of items in Shopee. Yeah, other grocery and pets. Their revenue is about 36 million. But okay, Nestle is a big company. The interesting part is number 2, Otakuya. We never heard before when I ran this analysis of Otakuya, what they are doing. Actually, they are just selling gaming and console. But how much they are making money? 35 million. Their location is in Bukit Jalil. Otakuya is not some well-known brand. It's just like, yes, it's SME. They're just selling game and console, but somehow their revenue is 35 million. It's quite impressive, right? So who interested with this data? Of course, we know LSTN will be interested if they are looking for new venue for collection. Yes, we can present to them. This is the new business where you can tap in. No, other than tax, for example, microfinancing, banking. You want to fund, you want to give microfinancing. You want to give, because now e-commerce is everything. With MCO, everything, e-commerce will be booming, online will be booming. So you want to distribute your funding, microfinancing. You need to filter, you need to do vetting. With big data, we can present which are the top sellers that consider credible, depends on based on their revenue profile. Instead, you just give funding to some seller that only sell about 10,000, 20,000. You focus to the seller that make million, so that your risk will be less. So, right? And then other things, the government, for example, government you want to expand, for example, let's say Otakuya, okay, Otakuya, I can give government fund. So instead you are just selling, you have become traders only on gaming and console. I give you fund, you set up a support center to give service about the item you sold, for example. But you must engage all the student or graduate from Kiat Mara, train them how to do surfing for gaming and console gaming. Actually, it's a computer. Train them and become your staff. I give you funding. That's how you create employment, right? By looking from this one, because I believe on Otakuya, because your revenue is 35 million. I mean, you are doing the serious business. It's not just incidental, something like that. So the same data, but we are looking from different angle. Yeah, it will benefit for various people. Then same also like Nestle, Otakuya. If you look at Otakuya later, you can check in Shopee, Otakuya. Isn't that? Yes. This one, highest revenue from international seller. Just no local seller. This one is international seller. And then we can also break down into category, the earning of each category. Just now we break down just based on the seller, but now based on the category or based on the location. All the seller, for example, in Malacca, what is the minimum revenue they make? What is the maximum revenue they make? Actually, it's quite interesting. Malacca is, you have a lot of earning, the people earning until almost more than 1 million in Malacca. So what they are selling actually? Oh, in Malacca, sellers in Malacca is under the automotive category. While in Terengganu, yes, it's one of the highest revenue. They are selling on the books, game books and hobby. Then we can profile. And it is very useful for those government agencies, the local agencies, the local government, for example. Engage them. If you think that to solve the employment issue is through e-commerce, entrepreneurship, yes, you need this data. So I think, Haji Jamal, I think that's all for today, Haji Jamal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pak Sungko. I have a question here for one of the FB viewers. I shall read it out, yeah?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do some surveys using a Google form and asked open-ended questions. It was very time-consuming to analyze it.
Yes.
From my understanding of this talk, this can be done easily using machine learning. Is that true? And how? Or where do we start?
Okay. So meaning you still maintain using the on Google form, but you want to have machine learning to understand to analyze the result, something like that one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The problem like this, machine learning or artificial intelligence, it is not something that it depends on your survey, right? If your survey is like movie review, where the answer is always yes, open-ended, but it's always about the same topic, movie review, or the action, the plot story, the cinematic, this one. If it is consistent, let's say you have 5 years data of result of movie review, yes, you can run machine learning, because machine learning is like how we learn actually. But if your survey is quite wide of topic, or now you survey about politics, next is economy, the way they answer about economy is different, the way answer about politics, you answer about employment different, then it will be tough if you want to run machine learning. Because machine learning, of course, in the end of the day, our brain is still the best. Machine cannot beat us because machine only become intelligent based on the context that we give to them. It's like movie review. The context is always the same. It's about movie. So you can train, you can use the machine learning. Because it's always about movie, or it's about food review, food survey, about food. The context is always food. That easy to run machine learning. But if the context is always different, politics, economy, very wide, then it will be tough to use the machine learning. So how we do that? Of course, that's come to the strategy of the survey. Don't put the open-ended question lah. You put scalable I forgot the name. What's the name? The scale from 1 to 5. Setuju, tak setuju, neutral, something like that. It's easy for us to do the analysis. But if it is open-ended, then will be quite tough lah, something like that.
But it's also tough if you got no brains. Ada juga kan?
Yeah.
I have another question.
Influencers without brains pun ada juga. Okay.
Another question, Pak Sas.
Yeah.
Is there a formula or thinking process to capture meaningful and actionable data?
Okay. Again, as I mentioned in the big data, the first thing very important is on the left side. When you study, when you plan what kind of data you want to put in your analysis, it's not the analysis. Analysis is given already. So the first thing, the thought process, the thinking process, don't start with random data, but start before. This is if I can put another section before the data acquisition, is the problem statements. You must establish the problem statement first. Then only you shopping on the data. You cannot just shopping, I got this data, oh, this data, apa ya kita nak buat ya, random. Cannot. You must start with the problem statement first. Because after your problem statement, until the result, analysis, and visualization, it always come back to your problem statement. So the thinking process is about you define the problem statements first. Then only you move to study the data. As simple as that, actually, Puan. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you,
opinion,
Pastor.
yeah.
Are there any more questions from the other viewers through Zoom? We have about a few minutes left before we end the whole session.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Pak Sas,
Yes,
just a simple context for civil society, kan? And what is the minimum cost implications?
Okay. Actually, when cost implication, if you want to have your own big data like what we have, the investment, of course, will be very, very huge lah. For example, like you must have hundreds of servers, because when we run our analysis, for example, like data, we are talking about years of investment. We are talking about massive data. Of course, investment, if you want to do yourself, will be very, 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 very expensive. But again, when we deliver our service to our clients, of course, we don't push our client, okay, you must have like what we have. No. Sometimes when we offer our service, we can offer based on we become like a media consultant, for example, from the context of media. So tell us what your problem statement, then we deliver the report accordingly, something like that. From that, simple like that. Then again, depends on the client lah. Okay, I want more. Then how much you willing to invest? Then it's something not that fixed. For example, like Jabatan Perangkaan. What we deliver in Jabatan Perangkaan is hybrid. Hybrid meaning they need the media analysis, but they don't want to invest heavily like us because their business is not media analysis. So what we deliver for media analysis to them is services, as a report, consultancy on the regular basis. But when come to the price analysis, like e-commerce, everything, they want to have their data. I want the data. So we implement a data center for them to do the price intelligence. We call it price intelligence, not the media analysis. So it can be in the hybrid mode, something like that. So again, when you want to start, how much cost is very subjective. It again depends on subject, depends on your problem statements. I have client, Pak Sas, I only can afford every month 20K. What you can deliver? Okay, Dato, With 20K, I can deliver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, okay. Because what we need is from you is the result. For example, we don't want to have you do all the everything. You just deliver me the report. Yes, then we become the consultant, the media consultant. It happened before. Or some of our another client, I want to have all in premise because the data that we process is sensitive. I don't want to be in the cloud. Okay, yes, because they have the budget. Yes, they can deliver. So big data range is very wide, from a very low price until very expensive, something like that one. It depends on the problem statement.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Question, chat tadi? Has this been mentioned? Is there a formula or thinking
Yes,
process?
done already.
Yeah.
So
I think,
I give another minute. If there are no more questions, then we will end the session.
okay. Tak ada, good.
Tak
Okay,
ada.
maybe I can add, Haji, when it comes to the thinking process. Okay, when we want to run something, this is the one that we always use as something like guideline to our client in any project that we embark with the client, be it in the really IT project or consultancy project. Always start with the problem statement first. Define the problem statements. Then only go to the data shopping. So first thing first, what you want to start is the workshop. Invite the thinkers, the decision makers, and then start brainstorm. What is our problem actually? Then after that, from those brainstorming, you come up with the problem statement. Then from the problem statement, if some of problem statement is very wide, then have another discussion. How to make the problem statement is very more specific. Because the challenge of big data is actually how to quantify the problem statement, right? It's how to quantify the problem statement so that the data science, the analysis, predictive, you must be able to quantify. So from qualitative, normally when talking about the brainstorming, the first, make the problem statement getting specific. Yeah. Then only we know how to solve the problem statement. Perhaps we have to run this massive of analysis. Or actually no, it is we can deliver it as a survey is enough. Something like that. Yeah. So don't go into the software first, data first. That one is later. But the problem statement first that you have to define. Yeah, I think that's all.
I'm sure data companies also have CSR, kan?
Boleh. boleh bincang Haji.
No, inshallah. So, we thank you very much for a very exciting, interesting presentation, Pak Sas.
Haji.
It's an open, and then we need to do our revision and our studies and research. We will be discussing, inshallah, in the future. And I pass over to Puan Rafidah to close.
Yes, okay, thank you. So Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Mr. Sasongko Yudo of AB Desk, Malaysia Sdn Bhd, for those knowledge for us. Hopefully, inshallah, all of us will gain benefit from it and use it in our day-to-day CSO, NGO activities and programs, inshallah. I would like to thank also Dr. Saleh, CEO of Nama Foundation. Alhamdulillah, thank you, Dr. Saleh, again for your continuous support to Aksin, and hope we will be continue this. And also to Tuan Haji Muhammad Jamaluddin Shamsuddin, CEO and Chairman of our workshop series. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all the audience, our viewers through Zoom link, viewers through FB. Alhamdulillah, thank you also to Ikram and Abim for joining in to cross-link this live FB. And before we end, I would like to also request that viewers to FB and the rest to continually support Aksin through our FB, and by supporting also our programs and activities. There is a donation info in the FB, and we hope that more subscribers will like and also comment. And also we welcome any other comments or suggestions from the FB viewers on what Aksin can do in terms of its role in developing the nation and community. And with that, thank you all. I do apologize for any shortfalls here, technically and so. And thank you again to all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Wah,
Waalaikumsalam.
thank you very much. Salam.